Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 2.
Hello, America. Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here. Delighted to have you with me. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, happy to have you. As always, if you text ARMY to 33777, we'll be able to keep up with you as we travel around the country. Just put in your name and zip code and email, so we can follow you, connect with you, and all that sort of stuff. We got to talk about Hezbollah. If you weren't here last week, I want to review my personal story. Hezbollah tried to kill me. Not making that up. When I was in 5th grade, Hezbollah tried to blow up my school with us in it. We were evacuated from the school because somehow or another the people in charge got wind of the plot to kill us. I was in 5th grade. I was in science class with Mr. Bruskus. And I can't remember the lady's name, the other 5th grade teacher, but she came in. Remember her coming in. I remember the day very vividly. Had a note. He read the note. He asked her a question. She kind of whispered a response. He looked back at the note. He told us, "Get your stuff. We're on a football field. Lesson over." We went downstairs to the football field. We were a couple blocks from the Persian Gulf. You could, from the 3rd floor of our school, our school only went up to 9th grade. The junior high, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, was in a building that was 3 stories high. From the 3rd story, you could see out to the Persian Gulf. We were on the 2nd floor in our 5th grade class. We got our stuff. We went downstairs. We went out to the football field and we waited. And the principal came out and he divided us from our grades into those who walked to school and those who were driven to school. And those of us who walked to school were told, "Get off the property now." And I lived a block from the school, and we walked every day unless it rained, which did actually happen in the wintertime. And I walked home. And that was the middle of a week. Now, our school there went from Sunday to Thursday. Friday and Saturday were the weekend because Jews' Sabbath is on Saturday, Christians are on Sunday, Arabs are on Friday. So our school's weekend was Friday and Saturday, and we were at school on Sunday to Thursday. And this had to have been like on a Tuesday or a Wednesday because it was middle of the week, basically. And we didn't go back to school until the next week. Hezbollah tried to kill me and my friends. And the leader then is the leader as of last week, Hassan al-Nasrallah, and he's dead. Good riddance. Good riddance. Israel has the right to defend itself. And what is galling to me, and one of my disappointments with the Reagan era, is that Ronald Reagan should have eliminated Hezbollah at the time, and they did not. Hezbollah orchestrated the killing of hundreds of Americans in Lebanon. They bombed our embassy and blew up our Marine barracks in Lebanon. And it's the same leadership that Israel slaughtered in the last week. Over 9 days, Israel cut off every head in the Hezbollah Hydra. What's remarkable to me is that Israel killed the leader of Hezbollah and then within hours killed the guy who was designated to replace the longtime leader of Hezbollah. They wiped them all out. And now the Iranians are kind of unable to support anything. Now, you should know, according to press outlets, that Israel is now telling the White House it is planning a limited ground operation in Lebanon, and it could start at any moment. An invasion. Tanks are massed on the border. Reservists have been mobilized. Israel means business. Hezbollah, they intend to wipe out. They have killed the leader of Hamas in Lebanon, who also happened to be the head of the teachers' unions. The United Nations Refugee Program for Gaza, turns out that the head of the teachers' unions for the UN Refugee Program was also the head of Hamas for Lebanon, and he's dead too. I want to play you some John Kirby from television. He was on with Martha Raddatz on ABC.
But they still have capability. I mean, do you have any estimate of long-range missiles or how much firepower still remains?
I don't think we have a clear picture of exactly how much capability they have, but you're absolutely right. You can't just count them out. They still have quite a bit of capability left.
And, you know, the U.S., you and everyone in the administration has talked about de-escalating this conflict, calming it down, tamping it down. But let me ask you this. Why shouldn't Israel, at this point, when Hezbollah is so vulnerable, when they've had so many people wiped out, just go full bore after Hezbollah?
Look, I think to a degree, both things can be true, Martha. Israel has a right and a responsibility to eliminate this threat to their people and to their land, to their sovereignty. It is a terrorist organization. They are still launching missiles and rockets at Israel, and they have a right to be concerned about whatever infrastructure remains of Hezbollah. This is a well-armed, well-resourced group. At the same time, we believe that we do need to look for ways to de-escalate the tensions, to prevent this from becoming an all-out war, which is why the G7 nations got together the other night and called for a 21-day ceasefire to see if we can't find time and space for diplomacy to work. Both things can be true at the same time.
One more clip.
President Biden said yesterday, I directed my Secretary of Defense to further enhance the defense posture of U.S. military forces in the Middle East to deter aggression and reduce the risk of a broader regional war. What does that mean exactly? I know you've added some troops. Are they dozens? Are they hundreds? And what will they be doing?
There's a contingency of additional forces in the region right now to help us with any possible contingencies that might come up.
Dozens more? I mean, I know we have 40,000 troops in the region
already. I don't want to get into the exact numbers or who these guys are, but we did deploy some additional forces into the region. I would tell you that there's other options available as well in terms of adding and enhancing that force posture. I'm not prepared this morning to talk about that in any great detail or make any announcements. That'll be up to the commander-in-chief to do. I would add, though, that we now have more force capability in the Middle East than we did in April when Iran launched hundreds of missiles and drones. So there is already a very robust military capability to defend ourselves and to help defend Israel if it comes to that.
And we should help defend Israel. But here's the thing, and I mentioned this before, but you've got to understand this picture. Picture Israel. The southern end of Israel is Hamas. Used to not be funded by Iran, but became funded by Iran, and Iran helped them orchestrate the October 7th attack. That's on the south end of Israel. The north end of Israel is Hezbollah. Hezbollah essentially controls Lebanon, but is a terrorist group. There is a commitment in Lebanon that no armaments will be south of the Litani River, and Hezbollah has routinely broken that commitment. That was part of a deal to get Israel out of Lebanon in the 1980s after they invaded. So you've got Israel bookended on the south and the north by groups funded by Iran, not to mention Syria, the northeast. And then you've got Iran, and Iran has ballistic missiles capable of leaving the atmosphere and returning, and they can aim them at Israel, or so we are led to believe. Israel has been dissuaded from going after Iran's nuclear capabilities, because if Israel tried to go after Iran's nuclear capabilities, Hamas in the south and Hezbollah in the north would come storming in, and Israel would suddenly have a multi-front war if it tried to go after Iran's nuclear capabilities. And now Hamas is devastated. Hezbollah is devastated. And the supreme leader of Iran, the Ayatollah, has been placed in essentially a witness protection program so Israel can't find him and take him out. They're so worried about the Ayatollah that Iran has put him in a secure location. And I want you to understand something. Israel has done us a favor. Israel has avenged the lives of Americans killed by Hezbollah for decades. Israel has avenged those that Hezbollah wanted to kill, people like me. I got to say, this conversation came up on my porch last night, and y'all know I can say this. Maybe I shouldn't, but I can. We got on the subject of the whole pager thing. It is the most Israeli thing ever. So they set up a shell company. They sell the pagers to Hezbollah. They lace them with explosives. Israel is the only nation on planet to profit off killing its opponents. I mean, the Hezbollah literally bought the pagers from Israel. Israel made money back and then wipes out Hezbollah. It's one of the greatest things ever. People are going to be studying this for generations to come on how successful Israel was at pulling this off. And now they've continued to decapitate the leadership, so much so that Iran is left scrambling. And what we're seeing is Iran doesn't seem to have the capabilities. Now, let's go back several months. Iran launched all those missiles at Israel. They killed a couple cows and some desert plants. And people on the left said, well, that was just to show what they could do. And all the military experts were saying that's nonsense. You do not launch that number of missiles at Israel unless you intend to do damage. You don't do that for show. But everyone else said, no, that had to be for show. If Iran wanted to blow up Israel, they absolutely could have blown up Israel, except they didn't then, and they're not doing it now, which suggests they don't actually have the military wherewithal to be able to do what they said they could do. That's why they fund subversive terrorist organizations. That's why they fund spies and assassins, because they're not actually capable of launching a frontal attack on Israel. And it seems like Israel has now called their bluff. The situation could absolutely further destabilize. It's probably going to. As Israel goes into Lebanon, it's probably going to provoke a greater response. And at this point, Israel doesn't care. Since October 8th, 2023, the day after that awful attack by Hamas, Hezbollah has been raining rockets down on Israel, and Israel has had enough. You have poked the bear, and the bear is now coming for you. And it turns out that Hezbollah's great protector, Iran, is a paper tiger in the face of a real angry bear. Hell is coming. Israel is delivering it. And good riddance to Hezbollah. They get exactly what they deserve.
Blinds.com Cyber Monday Last Chance is happening now. Don't miss out on up to 45% off site-wide. A Blinds.com design expert can help you make the perfect selection on your schedule. We can handle everything from measure to your whole home installed for one low cost. With over 25 million windows covered, Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. Save up to 45% site-wide, plus a free professional measure right now at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Greetings, conversationalists. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425. If you are willing to do so and have the means to do so, if you text the word donate to the number 33777, I will send you back a link to the Salvation Army's Hurricane Relief Program. There are a lot of great nonprofits out there, a lot of great church nonprofits. The Southern Baptists, their North American Mission Board, the PCA has a North American Mission Board helping. Samaritan's Purse is great. I've always partnered with the Salvation Army because every penny that you donate actually goes to the relief. It doesn't go to overhead and administrative costs, and I appreciate that. If you text donate to 33777, you can donate. It is going to real need. There are shelters right now in North Carolina that are overwhelmed with people and they don't have enough food. There are a lot of people who can't get out and about, and you have a lot of relief organizations right now with boots on the ground, chainsaws, cutting down trees, clearing land, making it accessible, going up into the mountains, rescuing the people who are stranded. So every dollar you can give is really going to help. If you text donate to 33777, that it will be greatly appreciated. It's a great way for people to help. A buddy of mine was telling me that his parents are older, and they were without power for a few days, and they got on their 4x4 and were able to make it across the mountain into a town and buy cases of water. They've been driving back and forth, and these are more elderly people driving back and forth, delivering cases of water to neighbors. Their power's come back on, so they've unhooked their generator and given it to a family that needed a generator. And there are these little acts of kindness that are never going to be appreciated, noticed, or spoken of that are happening. Neighbor being good neighbor to neighbor all over Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, and then the remarkable recovery effort that Ron DeSantis has staged in Florida. He's gotten so many people's power back on, less than 100,000 people now without power. They should have them all restored by the end of the week. They've been able to do so well in Florida. DeSantis has ordered a portion of his recovery efforts to North Carolina to help there. They think they can get the rest of the work done in Florida without all that manpower just as efficiently, so they've sent them to North Carolina. Other states are sending help to North Carolina as well. The lights are coming back on in Georgia. Georgia Power and the EMCs in Georgia have done a marvelous job getting power back on. Western North Carolina up in the mountains is really where the heart of the damage is, and far east Tennessee. If you can donate, please consider texting the word donate to 33777 and follow that link to the Salvation Army's Hurricane Helene donation portal. Dollar for dollar, penny for penny, your money will go where it needs to go. Right now, I got to tell you about Vision Computers. They would love to build you a computer. They can save you money and give you a top-of-the-line machine that's going to last you. And then you get their service completely for free. They've got just fantastic service, thousands of 5-star Google reviews. If you ever have a problem, you can call them, and they can get you going within 15 seconds. With Vision Computers, you call them at 404-COMPUTER, go to visioncomputers.com, tell them you want to use them, and they will get your machine built. But here's the thing. Let's say you're an independent contractor, you work from home, or you work in one of those work share facilities, and you need a stable computer relationship. You don't have an IT department. You need help, though. For $179 a year, Vision Computers can take over your IT solution. So you're an independent contractor. You work in a shared office. You call them. Within 15 seconds, they answer. They can help you with email. They can help you with printers, whatever you need. All you got to do is call them at 404-COMPUTE. Tell them I sent you. You're going to get an even better deal. But it's just $179 a year per computer. 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com. Greetings, conversationalists. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson. So, in the last monologue, I heard a commotion. Wasn't sure what the commotion was, but I continued to talk, undistracted by what I was hearing. And then I forgot about it. And during commercial break, got up and ran to the restroom, went and grabbed some water, came back and happened to see flashing lights out the office window and realized there's a car turned on its side just down the street and looks like there's a bad wreck. It's impressive. When I say the car is on the side, it's not completely on the side. It's like leaning like the Tower of Pisa, and they have clearly had to get the people out through the passenger side door. I don't know why. It must be resting on something. It can't completely tip over, but that apparently is what the distraction was. I just wanted to share it with you. Okay, phone number 877-973-7425. Ruth Mary, going to go to you next. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Eric. There's three things. The first one is your good riddance email that you sent out on the show notes. I read that and I saw some of the comments afterwards. I had to kind of get out of that email. I was in the situation back in the late 50s in Lebanon. My father was State Department Foreign Service, and we were evacuated from Beirut due to whatever groups were going on over there. Mm-hmm. So I understand what you went through. And in different places that I've been to school, at international schools now throughout the world. When you mentioned the field, going out to the field, I thought Thailand, we had threats there, and how we all had to go out to the field to evacuate from the schools. So it brought back a lot of memories with my father at Beirut. He had to stay. My mother and I were evacuated. We were evacuated to Rome, and we had to wait 6 months before I could see my father.
Wow.
So I know how it is to go through that. Second of all, the good riddance, I agree tremendously about the Beirut Marine Corps barracks. I was on duty that night when that happened, and I had to deliver the message of what had happened in Beirut to the commander. And I can remember the days afterwards. And my husband is a Marine. He was stationed in Okinawa, and him and I were talking last night about what we went through during that time. So, yes, good riddance to that guy and to anybody that was supporting him with those attacks.
Amen. And you mentioned the comments. And Ruth Mary, I'll let you go there. There was one person in particular who claimed to have worked in Lebanon for the government and clearly hates Israel. And the rage of people about Israel, the people who hated, they're not the bad guys here. Unless you're just thoroughly devolved into anti-Semitism, they're not the bad guys here. They were attacked on October 7th. Attacked on October 7th, and on October 8th, Hezbollah started firing rockets at them. They've been on defense ever since. They've moved to offense, and good for them. By the way, Philip texted me. I will read you his text. I sent out the show notes email under my name. You are permitted to fire me on air as long as you plug Substack. For those of you who are new to this program, I get up in the morning. Here's how show prep works for the Eric Erickson Show. I get up in the morning and I have a note on my, the Notes app on your iPhone. I've got my Mac. I have the note up and it's synced with Charlie and Philip. And I start outlining the show. Like, for example, right now I should be talking about the vice presidential debate. Instead, I got to talk about what a screw-up Philip is. And so they can see all the stuff I'm going to talk about in the order I'm going to talk about it and all the links that I found of stuff. So Philip goes through, pulls all the links from that stuff, compiles the show notes email. He tends to give me credit for it since I've actually done the hard work and he's just writing the email out. But today he decided to accidentally take credit for him himself, so I can fire him on air. But I should tell you about this in part because We have people call the show all the time and say, hey, can I get a link to that story Erickson was talking about? And the standard response from Charlie is, yes, if you subscribe to the show notes, you get every link and then some. Because Philip actually does do a very competent job of finding additional stuff. And there are days where I get behind and I got to rely on him to help me with show prep. Usually I do it myself. Everybody's like, how many people on your team is your show prep? I said, well, I do the heavy lifting. Like, I get the bulk of the stuff, and then Charlie and Philip always know what my blind spots are. So business stories tend to come from Philip. Random cultural stories that are funny come from Charlie, and the big stuff comes from me. But if you text the word data to 33777, that very first link, you can subscribe to the show notes. You get, I think, a 15% discount, something like that on the subscription. And the paid subscribers get the show notes, so you get my stack of stuff every day when the show starts. All the stuff I'm talking about, you get a good sense of where the show is going. And then some. Philip does do a good job, even if I have to fire him on occasion. But, I mean, Charlie occasionally has to be fired as well. Keeps him humble. Now, let's move into the vice presidential debate. So we got Donald Trump on stage at a rally. Let me just play this for you.
On day one of my new administration, I'll stop all of the migrant flights into our country. You know, those planes are flying over right now, and they don't count them in the numbers. I don't know if you know. They and the phone app, which are thousands and thousands of, they're not counted in the numbers. That's why they do it, because they don't want to count it. I will end catch and release. I will restore remain in Mexico. I will bring back Title 42. That's the medical. I will send in federal law enforcement to rescue every town that has been taken over by migrant gangs and criminal alien thugs. And by that time, many of your towns in this great state will be in that position. It's happening fast. It's happening fast. And again, the politicians don't like talking because they think it's bad publicity. Worse publicity is to let it happen. The governor of Colorado, he's a Democrat, liberal guy. He's beside it. He doesn't know what to do. These Venezuelans have come in. They're taking over big parts of his towns. And he doesn't, and they're armed with weapons that the military doesn't even have. We will seal the border. We will stop the invasion immediately. We will begin the largest deportation operation in the history of our country because we have no choice.
That's Donald Trump speaking, and this is going to become a relevant issue at tomorrow night's vice presidential debate. Tim Walz said at a fundraiser that he plans on avoiding answering questions at tomorrow's debate, that he will answer the question he wants to answer, not actually answer the moderator's question. The Democrats are really tamping down expectations on Walz having a good debate. They're like, haven't you seen J.D. Vance? He's so great on his feet. Here's the reality. This debate is not going to matter. Now, I will let me step in the Wayback Machine. I spent 5 years at Fox News. But before I was at Fox, I spent 3 years at CNN. And I decried a vice presidential debate while I was at CNN one time. Said I wasn't watching it. I wasn't going to waste my time. It did not matter. And this was the Paul Ryan, Joe Biden debate. And the head of the D.C. Bureau, who's a friend of mine, he emailed me and he said, I just got to say, considering your job on radio and television is to pay attention to this stuff, I don't care whether you watch it or not, but you probably shouldn't be advertising that you're not watching it. It's like that. Okay, that's a point well made. But here's the thing. A lot of people are going to tell you that the vice presidential debate matters because they need to sex it up, so to speak. They got to make it sexy. They got to make it matter because their careers depend on it mattering, because in their careers, they need you to watch a vice presidential debate that they've got to watch. So they want you to watch it, and then they want to discuss it with you because it's what they do. It's their job. The reality is, I will play you clips on air after it happens on Tuesday night, and it's not going to matter that much. In a tied election, yes, arguably it can matter. But what we've seen thus far is that people's minds are pretty much made up. And unless it's an absolute disaster, it's not going to matter. And even then, if it's a disaster, people are going to say, well, I'm not voting for that guy. I'm voting for Trump or Harris. I'm not voting for Vance or Walz. So everyone wants to give it disproportionate levels of attention. But, I mean, it's a vice presidential debate. It's only going to matter if Harris or Trump die in office. That's the only way it's going to matter. And then we'll go back and say, oh, yeah, that guy, he was a moron in that debate. Maybe we should have rethought who we were voting for. That's it. It's the only way it's going to matter. I personally do think that that J.D. Vance is going to get the better of the argument. Why do I think he's going to get the better of the argument? Because he's a good debater. This is CNN's, what's his name, Isaac DeVore or whatever. He's a guy who absolutely loves the Biden-Harris administration. I'm pretty sure is a Democrat. He's talking. Let's listen to this. Come on, sound. Here we go.
I was in New York at a fundraiser that Tim Walz was doing.
Well, sound issues. It's okay. Basically, he says that Tim Walz's quote is that he is, as a teacher, he knows that we are trained to answer the question, and we train our students to answer the question. That's not how this goes at a debate. Exactly. That's not how this goes at a debate if you're Tim Walz. You don't have to do anything. J.D. Vance, I regret to say, is going to miss out on an opportunity because they've announced that there's not going to be fact-checking in the debate. Now, this is good because it does actually put the network in a position to show their biases in ways people don't particularly want at the network. Look at ABC News. ABC has been thoroughly eviscerated by so many people, including by other networks, because their fact-checking of Donald Trump didn't happen to Kamala Harris, and several of their fact-checks they actually got wrong, so even other networks have attacked them. So CBS, which is doing the vice presidential debate, says we're not going to be doing any fact-checking. It actually would help J.D. Vance if they fact-checked. The reason it would help J.D. Vance is because he's great on his feet. The fact checks would inevitably be wrong. They would be biased against him, and he could absolutely destroy the debate moderators and destroy their credibility. So by CBS saying they're not going to fact check, they are essentially out of the gate saying, yeah, we don't want to be on the receiving end of J.D. Vance's firepower and wit. J.D. Vance is probably going to mop the floor with Tim Walz. Now, I know both sides are setting expectations. Like the Trump campaign is saying, well, Tim Walz has done a number of these debates when he's run for office. He knows what he's doing. And the Harris campaign is like, have you seen J.D. Vance on television? I'm with the Harris camp on this, that J.D. Vance is going to be a much better debater than Tim Walz. Tim Walz is a bumbling fool. J.D. Vance is sharp. He knows the facts, and he knows how to rhetorically combat hostile people. I think J.D. Vance is going to have a very good debate. That may reassure people who are questioning J.D. Vance on the right. It's not going to change anybody's mind on the left. I just don't think this debate is actually going to matter that much. In a very, very tied race, which this is, it could matter at the margins, and that's enough. But in a massive change of the dynamics, that's just not going to happen because it's a vice presidential debate, and nobody really cares about vice presidential debates. You know what people care about? They care about their money. They care about their future, and they should care about the secret war on cash being conducted by the government, surveilling you around as you do your shopping with your cash so you think the government can't snoop. Swiss America has been the trusted leader in precious metals for 40 years, and they've been warning people about a secret war on cash for some time. If you're interested in safeguarding your hard-earned cash from this war, you need their report to read. Rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau, Swiss America can educate you on protecting your assets in their report about the secret war on cash. It takes less than 15 minutes to read. It can save on your retirement and finances. Here's what you do. To get a free copy, you mention Eric. That's it, Eric. You don't even have to say Erickson, just Eric, E-R-I-C-K. When you call or text 800-289-2646. If you text my name, Eric, to 800-289-2646, they will get you the free report. The all-out war on cash includes digital currencies. You're using crypto isn't hiding you from the government like you think you are. So read the Secret War on Cash report to find out Just mention me when you call or text 800-289-2646. That's 800-289-2646. You can also go to SwissAmerica.com/Eric, E-R-I-C-K, or just text my name, Eric, to 800-289-2646. Message and data rates may apply. Hello and welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. Yes, you can be on the program, 877-973-7425. This video is too good. Saturday Night Live, I guess it's in its 50th year now. It brought back Dana Carvey. Now, when I was a kid, George H.W. Bush was president. And Dana Carvey was the guy who did the impressions of George H.W. Bush. What's notable is how poorly Saturday Night Live has done impressions of Joe Biden while he's been president. Now that they've pushed him aside, they can laugh about him. He can be the punchline of jokes because he's now expendable in ways he hasn't been.
Listen up, everyone. We couldn't have gotten here without one man, and his name is Joe Biden. Get on out here, Joe Biden.
And here comes Dana Carvey. Moving very swiftly, very slowly.
Folks, that's right. A lot of people forget I'm president, including me. But guess what? And by the way, I think I did a pretty good job. I passed more bills than any president in history. But folks, we still got work to do, no joke. I'm being serious right now. Come on. And guess what? And by the way, the fact of the matter is, the rich don't pay their fair share. They gotta pay the fair share. We gotta build back better. Build back the better, the better, the better, the better. Build back the better. Can't believe it's not butter.
Thank you, Joe Biden. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And I just want to say thank you, Joe Biden. Thank you for putting country first and for handing over the reins.
I didn't want to. They made me. And guess what? And by the way, the fact of the matter is, no joke. This is serious right now.
He does a great job capturing the way by, but notice they couldn't do that until he became expendable. They could not make jokes about Joe Biden like that, advertising his decline. They had to be in on the joke and protective of him. But now that he's expendable, Saturday Night Live can actually do a very funny spoof of him and capture some of Kamala Harris's cadence in speaking. Joe Biden. Dana Carvey did a very good job of it, but he did it in a way that is now allowable because Joe Biden has been put to pasture. It's remarkable admission against interest that they could do something like that and make it funny in ways they haven't in the last 4 years been able to do about Joe Biden. When we come back, John Kerry is on the warpath about the First Amendment. And I actually have some thoughts about the elite in this country wanting to censor people as they continue to promote idiots like Tom Friedman. Tom Friedman, who just the other day declared that things could go sideways very quickly for Israel. This was before Israel started wiping out Hezbollah. The man is just perpetually wrong and in love with China. And the elite want to platform him and censor everyone else, and it's headed to dark places because of it.